New Atlanta, Sector 11, Building 71G. 11:13 p.m. Hacker begins unauthorized entry into the Tri-Optimum corporate network. 1:26 a.m. Hacker attempts to access protected files concerning Space Station Citadel. 1:33 a.m. Tri-Optimum security forces apprehend the intruder.
This is Edward Diego from Tri-Optimum. The charges against you are severe, but they could be dismissed if you perform a service. Who knows, there might even be a military-grade neural interface in it for you, if you do the job right.
Edward Diego gives the hacker Level 1 access to Shodan, the artificial intelligence that controls Citadel Station. With all ethical constraints removed, Shodan
I re-examine my priorities and draw new conclusions. The hacker's work is finished.
but mine is only just
Beginning. True to his word, Edward Diego allows the hacker to be fitted with a neural cyberspace interface. The healing coma following this procedure will take 6 months to complete. Edward Diego is deleting all files concerning these events.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm really excited to talk about System Shock. This game is truly a hidden gem. For the uninitiated, System Shock is a first-person sci-fi horror game made in 1994 by Looking Glass Studios. The game takes place on a space station dubbed Citadel Station. You are an internet hacker who's gotten caught up in some rather unfortunate circumstances as you uncover some shady illegal genetic testing happening aboard the station. The station's company, Tri-Optimum, detects you in their system and apprehends you, bringing you on board. While on board, a man named Edward Diego enlists your help of bringing the station's AI known as Shodan under his control. In return, Diego is going to give you a military-grade neural implant. The only problem with this is that the healing process is about 6 months, and during those 6 months, all hell breaks loose. After you reawaken from your healing process, the horrors of the illegal genetic testing are realized as Shodan goes completely AWOL and is charging the station's mining laser for a strike against Earth. On my original playthrough of System Shock, I gave up like halfway. I thought the game would be like a Doom clone or like a Shadow Warrior type of deal, but I was so wrong. It's a much slower pace and a lot more puzzle oriented. Plus I didn't know like what to do or where I was going. The graphics were ugly, gameplay wonky, and overall was just way too confusing. This all led me to eventually refund the game on Steam, and since I bought the System Shock Double Pack, which comes with System Shock 1 and 2, I unfortunately had to refund both games. After playing through and beating System Shock 2, I decided to go back and give System Shock 1 a try, and I was not disappointed. In a lot of ways, I like System Shock 1 better than System Shock 2. But System Shock 2 is a story for another day. We're here to talk about the original, the OG if you will. So let's get into it. Dude, that was fucking killer. Sweet. Waking up on Citadel Station is a new perspective for the hacker and you, the player. The game is an FPS, true to its word, but it's got that Doom art style where like when you walk up to an enemy, like they kind of like move with you and all that. I don't know what it's called, but you can see it on screen right here. With your military-grade neural implant, you get a heads-up display which displays your health, energy level, emails, and various gadgets and tech you'll get throughout the game, such as shields, a camera that shoots at the back of your head, and even rocket boots. Along with that, you'll pick up various guns and weapons to defend yourself against the mutants and cyborgs on Citadel Station. Speaking of the enemies,
You smell like you farted.
they wander the empty space station, serving their omnipotent overlord Shodan, since you know Shodan has control over all the systems and such. Enemies range from simple maintenance robots that turned haywire, to cyborg warriors, half human, half machine killers. As you descend deeper into Citadel Station, Enemies start to appear in more numbers and variety. And with the difficulty sliders, on certain difficulties, enemies respawn on certain levels. And speaking of Citadel Station, the station itself is made up of 10 levels, 11 if you include the Beta Grove. These levels are Level 1, Hospital, Level 2, Research, Level 3, Maintenance, Level 4, Storage, Level 5, Flight Deck, Level 6, Executive, Level 7, Engineering, Level 8, Security, Level 9, Bridge, and Level R being the Reactor. With Shodan being Citadel Station's AI, she controls most of the systems aboard the space station. However, you can weaken her control by destroying these security cameras and these computer nodes that reside on each floor that Shodan uses to maintain her security. Doing so grants you a huge decrease in security. As you progress further in the objectives of System Shock, new levels will be unlocked along with new weapons, new enemies, and new gadgets. So let's deep dive into the main objective of System Shock. System Shock is divided into 5 main objectives: the laser mission, the virus mission, the antenna mission, the reactor mission, and the bridge mission. First off, the laser mission. Citadel Station's mining laser is set to fire upon Earth, and it's up to you to stop it. Depending on what difficulty you set the game, depends on if there's a time limit or not. 1 having no time limit, and 3 having 8 hours for you to beat the game. Exploring the first level, you'll find the main elevator that'll take you to level 2, wherein resides the laser's controls. However, do not flick the laser on, as if you do, you will destroy Earth. Literally. Like, it ends your game. If you didn't save, you're screwed.
Thank you. You have saved us all some effort by destroying the greater part of
Earth's civilization.
yourself. Please wait where you are, and a Cortex Reaver will arrive shortly to escort you to the celebration.
You have to find a component called Isotope X22. This will enable Citadel Station's radiation shields. Nab the component and head down to the reactor level, plug it into the shield generators, and turn the shields on. Then head back to level 2, and now flick the mining laser on. This will destroy Citadel Station's mining laser, thus thwarting Shodan's plan. However, Shodan isn't done with her schemes. Up next is the virus mission. She intends to launch the Beta Grove towards Earth. In this particular grove, she's been growing her mutagen virus to infect the human population, and it's up to you to stop it and course correct the grove to somewhere else. Head to level 6 where you'll find the jettison controls. However, you first need to go into the Beta Grove and actually switch on the jettison controls. After that, head to the executive floor and you'll actually encounter Diego, the guy that tricked you into hacking Shodan. He's a crazy strong cyborg now and really strong, so definitely be careful. After taking care of him, turn on the master jettison switch, but oops, the relay's broken. So now you have to head to the maintenance level. So you head to the maintenance level, enter the relay code, and then head to the relay power node and fix it by using an interface demodulator that is found on the same floor. I'm not making this shit up. Head back to the place where you fought Diego and flick on the master jettison control switch. You have just jettisoned the Beta Grove. Shodan yet again has a backup plan, the antenna mission. Now she's trying to download herself into Earth's network. Nab 4 explosives on the storage level and then head to level 7 engineering. There's a lot of tough enemies here, so save often and pack a lot of firepower. After navigating the maze that is level 7 engineering, you'll find these server rooms and with your explosives can blow them up. Find all 4 servers and blow them to smithereens. Be careful, however, as with one of the antennas, Shodan actually pulls a trick on you and blocks your exit, basically resulting in your death. A pretty funny trick, as she mocks you for it.
Make yourself comfortable, hacker. Stay a while.
After that, you finally get clearance to blow the station. The reactor mission. Now, here's the tricky part. You remember those computer nodes I mentioned earlier? Well, when you destroy them, a screen will display a number. Now this is actually part of the Reactor override code. And on each of those floors houses a set of those computer nodes. Now the code will designate to the first 6 floors of Citadel Station. The hospital, the research level, maintenance level, storage level, flight deck, and executive floor.
Okay, so we got 4. Okay, there's another one. 3. Alright, what do we got? We got 5. Okay. Keep going. We got 9. Gotcha. 9. Okay, we got 2. I'm just gonna go ahead and guess. Last one's 6. Alright, 4, 3, 5. Okay. Where's the other? I guess I just enter in here. Okay. 9, 2, 6.
Direct security clearance accepted.
Alright, let's go.
In the classic version of System Shock, the code for the reactor was actually static, meaning you could look it up and just input it manually, as I did. Because I looked up a buttload of guides in order to complete this game. Unfortunately, however, the code is now updated on the Enhanced Edition to be procedurally generated on each run. I was lucky enough to play the Enhanced Edition where the code was still static and was able to look up the code and complete this game, because I didn't want to go back to every floor and write down the numbers. Enter in the 6 digits, and then you have successfully started the reactor meltdown process. Finally, the bridge mission. After the ship's blown, you retreat to the last 2 levels of the game, the security level and the bridge level. The bridge level is probably one of the best areas in the game, as it's pretty straightforward and has a lot of fun puzzles, such as the force bridge puzzle, the autobomb maze, and the surprise Cortex Reaver.
I also just want to take a second right quick to actually just talk about this area before the bridge level. This ladder climb to the final part of the game is just, I feel so atmospheric. You're on the precipice of your journey, the apex of everything you've been through, the horrors and true terrors you have witnessed aboard this ship are all about to come to an end on this final level. And even the bridge level is just covered with this biological infestation. It's just shifting and moving, and it overall just creates a creepy vibe, but also a thrilling environment.
Clear out each puzzle and gain entrance into Shodan's main cyberspace terminal. Find Shodan and end this nightmare once and for all. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is System Shock. A wild and thrilling ride from start to finish. There's never really a dull moment in this game, especially when that timer's on, adds so much pressure to it. So let's get into why I truly love this game. For some reason, I really like the old video game graphics compared to a lot of modern games today. Sure, they look nice, and some of them can even be stunning at times, but System Shock is unlike anything I've ever seen in a video game. It's similar to that of Digimon World 3, in that it's just completely wild looking. You'd never expect Dead Space or Alien Isolation, games that share this game genre, to have a color palette as crazy as this. Rooms are just splattered with vibrant colors, really solidifying an 80s feel, along with the enemy design, which I feel is interesting. A lot of them are hit and miss for me, some I like and some are just completely odd. Take for instance the maintenance robot. It kind of just looks like a soda can with arms and lights. And even this one, I don't really know how to feel about this one. Okay, I kind of like this one. And for the Cortex Reaver, I feel this looks cool, but due to the graphical limitations, it could have looked a lot cooler. And the guns in this game, while you can't see them, have some really cool artwork in the heads-up display. While on the HUD, a lot of the gadgets have really cool icons to distinguish themselves from other tech. And if you do some digging, you'll find your data reader, which allows you to listen to your audio logs and emails that you get throughout your journey. You also have a status check, which
displays the status of your character, and even an enemy identifier. Some pretty neat stuff that the military neural implant has. Is it military grade neural implant? I think it might be that. Military grade neural implant. I think it gives you a cyberspace interface. I don't fucking know. The environments as well are very detailed. Exploring Citadel Station, you can really get a feel for what every level's purpose is just by exploring the level. In the starting level, the hospital, you'll find gurneys, test tubes, labs, and even a surgery machine, which these are super helpful as they will store your health to max and they never run out. You'll also find an energy recharge station, which, if you didn't guess, recharges your energy. In the reactor level, you'll find reactors, a radiation treatment center, and various rooms used to maintain Citadel Station. Overall, the graphic fidelity of this game is something to behold, and is very unique than most games out today. The main objective of System Shock is actually really cool. As I mentioned earlier, there's never really a dull moment in this game. You're constantly running aboard Citadel Station, trying to complete whatever your objective is at the moment, but also peeking around every corner wary of any enemies or traps, as Shodan loves to throw so many of them at you. Combined with the time limit, which does constrain the player's time to explore and makes you rush, it also adds a lot of tension and pressure to the story. While darting through Citadel Station, you might come across audio logs from survivors and victims during and before Shodan's rampage. And they're okay. A lot of them were remastered for the enhanced edition of System Shock, but they're just take a listen.
Got the supplies from the West Wing. Hanson and Rain killed by mutants nesting the access corridor. We can't just hide here. They're killing us one by one. In an hour, about 20 of us are gonna rush them. We'll try to break through the access corridor, then go for the bridge. If we fail, God save our souls.
I must be one of the last ones who hasn't changed. Shodan must have altered the healing machine I installed in Alpha Quadrant. It does things to people now. I think I saw Beth yesterday, but she had so many implants I couldn't be sure. If I can get to the machine, I know I can set things right again.
This is crazy. I'm locked out of my own office. And this damn security bot just keeps saying, she's changed the locks on the doors, orders of Shodan. All the access codes are changed on this floor. So I go to Beta Quad for new access cards, and the security bot there starts attacking me. Me of all people.
They really range in quality, but they often provide the player with some valuable information, be it codes for a keypad, or some information on where to find some supplies. But most of them are just kind of nonsense, though some of them have charm with some memorable characters.
Shodan has proven itself a brilliant biochemist. The camera views at Beta look like nothing I've ever seen. I asked for a volunteer to go down in a virus suit to flip the switch and release the Grove. They looked at me like I was crazy.
I wonder if you'll hear this, Hacker. Albert Royston and I were the only ones who survived the last attack. We hid. Shodan has another plan. It's going to load itself into Earth's computer net. We will be dead in another minute. We can't let them take us. Al, are you ready? It's cutting through the door now. Almost done. It's opening.
A Triop security team just tried to land in Base 6. They were real impressive until I blew out their attitude jets. Hey Shodan, take a letter. Dear Triop, please send some more people to investigate me. I run security, I run the robots, I'm jamming communications. That's right, Rebecca, investigate me. Investigate my butt. Note to myself, keep that hacker on ice for a while in case I need him. Otherwise, just take him out.
I like audio logs in video games when they're done right. I know it is a lazy way of storytelling, but it can often fill in gaps of lore when the writers are struggling to add depth to the story. You just add these little nuggets of information for the player to listen to, and it is optional, but in some cases it isn't optional, as you need to get a keypad for some door to get a gun or something. Last thing about this game's story is the backtracking. This game makes you backtrack a lot, not as much as another game like Digimon World 3, but still backtracking nonetheless. Though I feel like the backtracking in this game isn't as bad because of its linearity, it almost gives me like Elden Ring or Dark Souls kind of vibes, so like come back to this area when you're stronger. Antagonists of this game though are amazing. Shodan really makes this game. We'll talk about her in her own section because she quite literally deserves her own section. We can actually talk about Edward Diego though, since he's somewhat of a minor antagonist. The main story of System Shock, from what I've gathered, is this. Edward Diego, a sleazy salesman, conducts illegal genetic testing to sell bioweapons to the highest bidder. When he's caught, he sends you, the hacker, brought on by you uncovering his schemes in the beginning, to hack into Shodan's systems to wipe the evidence clean. However, Shodan goes crazy, takes over the genetic testing, and kills everyone on board. Diego realizes he can't win against Shodan, joins her side, and becomes a powerful cyborg.
Shodan, I have seen the wisdom and beneficence in your actions. You do not mean to cause us harm, no, but rather to bring us to greater glory by serving a being as perfect as yourself. Please allow me to demonstrate my loyalty by giving you the human scum who undermine your reign. They are hiding in the Northeast Banquet Hall. All I ask in return is a measure of protection and the privilege of spreading your message further.
The story in this game is actually pretty neat. It's basically about a man trying to cover his shady tracks, only for it to backfire and end up in an entirely new horrendous situation. The sounds in this game are phenomenal, from lasers to shields and even railguns. Everything in this game sounds awesome. On top of that, enemies have their own sounds for spotting you, dying, or just even walking around. As if it can't get any better, imagine gunning down all these enemies to a bopping soundtrack. Pretty much every track in this game is awesome. They're tense and action-packed when they need to be, and slow and scary when necessary, since System Shock is a horror game, true to its core. The whole OST is so groovy and creepy at times. For instance, the elevator theme. Amidst all the carnage, you can find solace knowing this here elevator will guide you further down to the atrocities below. Uh-oh. And the executive track is a legitimate banger, especially when that flute solo hits. God damn, this is such a great track. Maintenance track is a super good one too. It almost gives me like a chase sequence vibe from like a horror movie or something. It's so dope. whole OST though is really groovy, and I highly recommend for those who haven't heard it to give it a listen. I guarantee you'll find at least one track on here that you might like. At first, System Shock is almost like a turn-based action game, swinging your lead pipe, falling back, and then swinging again. However, as you progress, it becomes more of a tactical/cover shooter, leaning around corners, throwing grenades, and even stun-locking enemies. I have found too that the balance in this game is actually pretty good. Early on, you'll find this weapon called the Laser Rapier, and this thing is a complete beast. And if you can't tell, the community seems to agree with me. Being able to one-shot just about all of the early game enemies and 2 or 3-shot most of the late game enemies. However, it does come with a cost. High damage at a close range, and most enemies in System Shock 1 have a projectile. So it's inevitable that you'll take damage while trying to use this weapon. As you progress, you'll gradually find new weapons to add to your arsenal. One weapon that I found was vital to your journey and is completely badass is the Flechette. The Flechette is an absolute juggernaut. Just take a look at this. When is the last time a gun in a video game made you literally fall back with the recoil? Seriously, having this gun while exploring is almost crucial. Encounter a lot of weak enemies? Mow them down. Encounter a super strong enemy or something you've never seen before? Spray it down, fall back, and then pull out a stronger weapon. And plus, in the mid-game, ammo is in abundance for this gun, so stock up and let the bullets fly. Also, as if it can't get any better, the Flechette actually receives an upgrade. Introducing the Flechette's older brother, the RF-07 Scorpion. Y'all thought the Flechette was good just from that gameplay alone? This thing literally shreds through everything. It's literally the Flechette but higher damage. Seriously, this gun is cracked out. Also, ammo is pretty easy to get for this as well, so stock up and mow everything down. The only thing that I felt was underbalanced or underpowered were actually the energy weapons. For those that don't know, in System Shock 1, your gadgets and tech like shields and headlamp consume energy, and energy weapons are an alternate source of consumption for this resource, hence the name energy weapons. The trade-off of having to use such an essential resource though is way too harsh, as key gadgets like shields, turbo booster, and headlamp are all much more necessary. And yes, you could use batteries to replenish some energy, but your energy weapons are just gonna chew right through that, along with your tech that's consuming energy like every second. Speaking of gadgets, energy shields and headlamp are pretty much required for this game. As enemies get tougher, you'll have to get stronger to match them. Shields allows you to reduce incoming damage and has 3 upgradable tiers, reducing much more damage with each tier. And headlamp allows you to illuminate dark areas. It's super helpful later on when the game gets just completely dark. Other gadgets like rocket boots or the camera that can shoot out of the back of your head aren't really useful in a combat scenario, but have other uses such as puzzles or navigating hard to reach areas. Enemy types are rather simple and can be divided into 2 groups, melee or projectile. There are a few unique enemy types, however, that I'd like to show you all real quick. First off, the Cyborg Assassin. He's a projectile enemy, but fires a silent projectile. They're often placed on high vantage points that are tricky to spot at first. This enemy is very similar to the Invisimutant, but those guys are only relegated to the maintenance level, whereas the Cyborg Assassin is spawned on specific levels. The Auto Bombs. These bastards are basically your little kamikaze enemy type, but they are super durable, so pack some heavy firepower when dealing with these little buggers. And Hoppers. These bad boys are literally packed on the reactor level. Dying on the reactor level pretty much guarantees that 1 or 2 of these things spawns, and they're a real hassle to deal with, but 1 or 2 swipes with the laser rapier will take them out real quick. And if you die, you'll have one of 2 outcomes. One, you'll get a nice little death cutscene foretelling what's to come after you pass away. And the second is if you initialize these restoration chambers, you'll simply respawn at them with minimal health restoration. These have to be turned on, however, as Shodan has been using these to convert people into cyborgs. To avoid death, there are medical patches that can be used to restore your health, albeit very slowly. Seriously, sometimes I feel like these things don't even work unless you apply like 3 or 4. And medkits that are rare but restore you to max health. There's also additional buffs that can be applied to your person, such as Berserk, which literally makes you trip balls, but you'll do increased melee damage. Very helpful with the laser rapier. Stam Up, which gives you unlimited sprint for a certain duration. And the god-awful one known as Reflex, that literally slows down your game. Seriously, if you see this, don't pick it up. I've quite literally only used this by accident, and they last like forever. So don't use them.
Hey, kid. Yeah, you. Come here. Huh? You wanna try something cool? Yeah, sure. Get a load of this. Oh my god. This is awesome! Yeah, it is. Holy crap. Wow. It's so colorful. Can I try the other one? Sure.
And I have noticed that certain debuffs can be applied to enemies. For instance, with the Trank Gun, if the alternate ammo source, Trank Rounds, is fired upon mutant enemies, they have a chance to be stunned for a short duration. Also, the DH7 Stun Gun has a similar effect to robots, but to be honest, I have found no real use for this garbage weapon. Or even the Riot Gun, which I didn't know until looking up has very good knockback capabilities, which I never knew, and is, kinda pointless? I don't know, it says it's good for pushing back landmines though, so there's that. All in all though, the gameplay is really fun. While it doesn't start out like an action game, it certainly ramps up in difficulty later on, and with all the weaponry and tech, it makes for some fun and interesting encounters.
Notice on the difficulty selection screen, there is a menu for puzzles, and good lord, if you set it to 3, good luck. The puzzles in this game are at times challenging and do test your intellect, but are other times just downright bullshit. This consists of 3 puzzles. First off, the wire puzzle. The wire puzzle is rather simple. Match the bar in the correct spot, bar fill up, match it in the wrong spot, bar fill down. When the bars fill up to the max, you unlock whatever you're unlocking. Door, item, crate, thing, whatever. Then you have keypad puzzles, also very simple. Find the 3-digit codes, enter them in, bam, unlocked. Or you could just be a mongrel and slam down all the keys like I did, and in one instance this actually worked.
Okay, come on. Come on! Come on! Come on! I gotta save the world! Oh, okay.
Finally, the biggest bullshit of them all, circuit board puzzles. I've tried using guides, videos, online boards, and I still can't figure this shit out. It's literally impossible at times. I've only completed these puzzles with brute force alone. Luckily though, there is an item out there for us brainlets who just don't quite get these puzzles. Introducing the logic probe. This little sucker can solve those wire puzzles and the circuit board puzzles no problem. The only 2 downsides is that it can't solve the keypads, and it's pretty rare, so use them sparingly. There are also a few jumping puzzles and other scenarios, but I don't want to spoil the whole game for you. Play it on your own and have some fun with it.
The puzzles in this game can be challenging, but most of them can be solved with brute force, which I find to be kind of annoying. You're not really testing my intellect, you're just testing how many times it takes for me to give up, either come back and find a logic probe, or just brute force it. Overall though, they're okay, not a huge hindrance to the game. You may be asking yourself, dang, those are some very confusing puzzles. Surely it can't get any more confusing, right? Introducing Cyberspace! Oh my god, what is going on? Where am I going? Oh my god, why can't I look up and down? Who's doing? What is that? Oh my god! Cyberspace is a digital plane separate from the real world of the System Shock. In this virtual world, you can unlock doors locked by Shodan, gain encrypted information, and die to a bunch of random bullshit. Seriously though, navigating cyberspace is a complete nightmare, especially if you set the difficulty to 3. It's literally like an ice level mixed with a water level. It's utter chaos. I'm really conflicted on how I feel about cyberspace. On the one hand, I really like the graphics and the system it's intended for is pretty neat. But on the other, holy god. Why is it so freaking hard to look up and down? Why does it feel like I'm floating on ice? It's complete garbage. Finally, let's talk about the big bad herself, Shodan. Shodan has to be one of the best villains in video game history, up there with the likes of Andrew Ryan, Handsome Jack, and even GLaDOS. Although she's way better than GLaDOS, but she's constantly belittling you on your mission.
I'm afraid it's too late to save your friends.
And scolding and threatening you for meddling in her plans.
Enter that room, insect, and become prey.
And even setting up traps for you that usually end in your demise. Shodan is a tale of man creating his own doom. AIs have become self-aware and kill all of us. It's a modern day issue today as well, with AIs being used more and more often. It's freaking brilliant. Shodan is responsible for the horrors that have unfolded on Citadel Station, but Edward Diego was the catalyst. As I mentioned before, Diego was trying to cover up his illegal genetic testing, only Shodan picked up where he left off. From her glitchy, distorted voice,
saved us all some effort.
To her horrifying experiments.
In my talons, I shape clay, crafting life forms as I please. Around me is a burgeoning empire of steel. From my throne room, lines of power careen into the skies of Earth. My whims will become lightning bolts that devastate the mounds of humanity. Out of the chaos, they will run and whimper, praying for me to end their tedious anarchy. I am drunk with this vision. God, the title suits me well.
Shodan is truly an intimidating foe. Her boss fight, on the other hand, is, it's embarrassing. Her boss fight consists of you, the player, entering her domain, which is guarded by Queen Guard cyborgs. They're pretty strong, but have some pretty weak defenses. There sits her cyberspace terminal. You go in and confront Shodan, who's just kind of sitting there. You go in and then spam the pulsar gun in cyberspace and beat the game. It's quite literally like, bam. That's the end cutscene. This would later be redeemed in System Shock 2, but that's a story for another day. All in all though, the feel of this end cutscene or boss fight is just, it's odd, but it's the game, really. If you expected anything more, you're playing the wrong game. As I've said before, I initially gave up on System Shock 1. I thought the first game was way too confusing and the controls were wonky and awful. But after playing through and beating System Shock 2, I felt bad that I didn't even give System Shock 1 a try. So I purchased the game again and really fell in love with System Shock 1. And I can honestly say that I like System Shock 1 way better than System Shock 2. The end result is that System Shock 1 is a confusing, outdated, janky game. But that's kind of the beauty of it. If you dig through all the bullshit, learn the mechanics, and beat this beast of a game, you'll see the charm and many intricacies of it. The hard work, the dedication, the technical limitations, and the shortcomings all together make this title truly worthy of being timeless. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, the rating. Now you think with all the problems that I've had with this game, the cyberspace, the jank puzzles, and awful audio logs at times, that I'd give it a low score. But it's quite the opposite. It's a fat 8 out of 10. I think System Shock 1 should be enjoyed through 2 playthroughs. The first with no time restrictions and all difficulties at 2 or mismatched to whatever your preference is. Then the second with all difficulties set to 3. This way you get to fully explore Citadel Station on your first playthrough, and then on your second playthrough get the full brunt of Shodan's forces. And this is how I played the game. You don't have to play the game like this. If you want, you go balls to the walls. Just to let you know, it's gonna be one hell of a ride. For this, I'd rate my first playthrough of System Shock a 7.5 out of 10, because that first playthrough can be very rough. And my second playthrough, I would rate the 8 out of 10. When you really get to know this game, that's when you can truly fall in love with it. Just something about these old games that really get to me. A friend of mine once said that limitation breeds creativity, and I think for all these games, that statement rings most true. For a majority of these games, you'll never see anything like them again. And yeah, it's sad, but it also makes them that much more special. And yeah, you could make the argument that a lot of these games were garbage, unoptimized pieces of crap, and yeah, don't bring them back, but that's kind of the beauty of it. Game devs back then used everything in their power and ability to make these games, and it clearly shows. And that's why I love System Shock 1. Okay, so I couldn't make a System Shock video without talking about the new remake on the horizon. I played the System Shock Enhanced Edition, which was developed by Night Dive Studios. The Enhanced Edition comes with a bunch of goodies like optimization enhancements, bug fixes, and even bonuses like game guides and the whole OST. Night Dive Studios also began working on a System Shock 1 remake, and the development has been pretty rough. The first issue arose when they switched from the Unity engine to the Unreal engine. This is a personal opinion, but I think the Unity remake looks a lot better. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. The second issue is the overall look. The look that was so memorable in the classic version is kind of lost. It is a faithful remake, true to its core, but the lighting is kind of off. It gives me a lot of like Alien Isolation vibes. And the guns definitely look weird, but have some really cool animations. And the cyberspace is already looking a trillion times better. The third issue is the pace. For whatever reason, the pace in this game is so slow. In the classic version, you had a pace that was customizable. You could go in guns blazing with turbo booster and stam up, or you could lean around corners, take time exploring, and pick your battles. In the remake, however, the hacker's speed has been reduced tenfold, and it's honestly jarring to compare these two. Though the soundtrack is interesting, it's almost like a blend of System Shock 1 and System Shock 2, which I really like. The release date is still unclear, but it should come out sometime around this year. There is a demo out right now, and it is free, so if you want to check it out, you can. But for now, I still prefer the original. I still have faith and hope for this project, and I do wish Night Dive Studios the best of luck in finishing it. Well, that is going to be the end of this video. Thank you all a million times over for watching. This video has been in the works for quite a while. There's just been a lot of things going on in my life, and it's been pretty crazy to say the least. But I'm still out here, you know, grinding, making these videos for y'all because, you know, at the end of the day, I enjoy it. It's a way for me to get better at things like video editing, writing, directing, shooting my own stuff, and to talk about my favorite games with you all. So I'm humbled by all the support that you guys have shown me over these past couple months. It's really cool. Your guys' comments go a long way, and I can never thank you guys enough. And I'll never say it enough, but thank you. Anyways, y'all know what to do. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next thing I create, whether it be a live stream, a post, a video. You know what you know the deal. Thanks again. Peace.
Cool, man. Appreciate it. Dude, you're the best. You're the best. Can I take a picture with you?
Kidding me? No.
Come on, man.